SpaceX is on the brink of launching Starship's third integrated flight test. From the preparations for the intense wet dress rehearsal to groundbreaking design upgrades aimed at preventing catastrophic explosions, every detail holds the key to the future of space exploration. And as if that's not enough, SpaceX's plans to construct a massive $100 million office within the Starbase facility are causing waves of excitement. Join us as we delve into the heart of these developments. SpaceX is getting ready for the wet dress rehearsal of the Starship Flight 3 vehicle, the final ground test before liftoff. Starship 28 and Super Heavy Booster 10 were at the production site for the past few weeks, undergoing rigorous system checks and thorough assembly verifications required before the launch attempt. Booster 10, having undergone all necessary checks and fixes, was the first to return to the launch site. Subsequently, it was lifted and placed atop the orbital launch mount, and it was prepared for further testing. Following engine replacements and thorough system checks, Ship 28 departed the production site on February 9. After an hour-long journey, Ship 28 arrived at the launch site and moved towards the launch pad to take position in between the launch tower arms. Subsequently, the ship was lifted and placed atop Booster 10, marking the first time those vehicles were stacked on the launch mount. In this image captured by Starship Gazer during the lift, you can see a Raptor vacuum engine unblemished compared to the rest of the engines. This could be the Raptor vacuum engine replaced on Ship 28 when it was at the production site. A center sea-level engine was also replaced on the vehicle, but it is difficult to say which of these three was it. Surprisingly, Ship 28 was removed from the Booster 10 a day after the full stack. Immediately after the D-stack, workers climbed on top of the booster and began working on the hot stage ring clamps, which are designed to tightly secure the ship atop the booster. They might have detected some anomalies with the clamps after the full stack, forcing them to destack the vehicle for inspections and repairs. The ship side panel to which the quick disconnect mechanism connects was also replaced after the D-stack. Maybe teams have found issues with the system during inspections after the full stack. After completing all the repairs and replacements, Ship 28 was lifted for the second time and gently placed atop the booster to begin preparations for the wet dress rehearsal. Booster 10 conducted several pre-burner torch igniter tests following the full stack. The igniters are responsible for initiating the partial combustion of propellants inside the engine pre-burner to generate hot gases that drive the turbopumps, which in turn pump propellants to the main combustion chamber for further combustion. A fire extinguisher and detonation suppression system test was also performed after the full stack. For those unfamiliar, the fire extinguisher and detonation suppression system, nicknamed FireX, is designed to purge the orbital launch mount with high-pressure nitrogen gas and water to prevent the accumulation of any volatile mixtures of methane and oxygen underneath the launch mount before engine ignition. This system is implemented to prevent incidents such as the one that happened during the spin prime test of Booster 7 in July 2022. The forward and aft flaps of Ship 28 were also tested in the full stack configuration. Purge tests of the main booster quick disconnect mechanism and the 20 outer quick disconnect mechanisms were conducted several days before the full stack. The main quick disconnect mechanism allows the flow of propellants, gases, electric power, and communication signals to the rocket before liftoff. Meanwhile, the outer quick disconnect ports are designed to supply high-pressure helium, methane, and oxygen gases required to spin up and ignite the outer 20 Raptor engines of the booster. Multiple retraction tests of booster hold-down clamps were also performed before Booster 10 arrived at the launch site. All these tests from the past 2 weeks ensured the readiness of the launch vehicle and the ground infrastructure for the wet dress rehearsal. SpaceX attempted a wet dress rehearsal on February 14, which involved fully loading propellants into the launch vehicle, followed by a launch countdown rehearsal. During the countdown, SpaceX would ensure all systems worked correctly right up to the engine ignition. However, the test was aborted after only a minimal amount of propellant was loaded onto Ship 28. The exact reason for the test's abort remains unknown. Workers were seen addressing the Starship quick disconnect mechanism overnight, suggesting that the wet dress rehearsal was aborted due to the detection of some anomaly related to this mechanism. Following the abort of the wet dress rehearsal, SpaceX conducted a water deluge system test. This system is designed to spray thousands of liters of water beneath the launch mount to redirect the exhaust plume and safeguard both the launch pad hardware and the launch vehicle from the intense acoustic and thermal conditions during liftoff. Additionally, multiple purge tests were carried out involving the release of carbon dioxide gas into the booster engine bay to clear out any potentially hazardous gases and prevent anomalies. After fixing all the issues, SpaceX will attempt the wet dress rehearsal as early as Tuesday, February 20th. Additionally, SpaceX may proceed with a static fire test for Ship 28 following the wet dress rehearsal to validate the newly installed engine's performance before the third flight test. The issuance of the FAA launch license is anticipated in the upcoming days, and Elon Musk estimates that Flight 3 will occur approximately 3 weeks from now. Now, let's take a closer look at something important revealed in this image captured by Starship Gazer during the recent full stack. You may recall that at the 2024 Starship presentation in January, Elon Musk explained why Ship 25 exploded during the second integrated flight test. Musk said that the anomaly was associated with venting excess liquid oxygen propellant toward the end of the second stage burn.
The reason that it actually didn't quite make it to orbit was we vented the liquid oxygen, and the liquid oxygen ultimately led to fire and an explosion, because we wanted to vent the liquid oxygen because we normally wouldn't have that liquid oxygen if we had a payload. So ironically, if it had a payload, it would have reached orbit.
In missions where Starship is tasked with carrying payloads to orbit, it should be fully fueled to meet all its milestones. However, during the second flight test in November, as the vehicle carried no payloads, a full load of propellants was not required to achieve the mission goals. Nevertheless, the rocket was loaded with more propellant than required to simulate flight-like conditions. If the launch had carried a payload, all of the propellants would have been utilized by the Raptor engines to attain orbit. The absence of payloads forced SpaceX to vent the excess propellant mid-flight to reduce the ship's weight and facilitate reaching space. While Musk didn't elaborate on how the venting triggered the explosion, it can be inferred that an unforeseen issue during the venting operation led to the anomaly. Musk said in January that they are planning to make adjustments to the liquid oxygen venting procedure to safeguard the Starship from similar incidents in future flight tests. SpaceX recently added 2 new pipes near the engine skirt of Ship 28, and it was revealed when the ship was lifted for last week's full stack. These pipes were absent in Ship 25, making it highly likely that these new additions are the liquid oxygen vents intended to prevent what destroyed Ship 25. We can expect to witness venting from these ports towards the end of Ship 28's engine burn, if indeed these are the new oxygen vents. Let's wait for the visual confirmation. The pre-assembly of Starbase's second launch tower's 8th section is currently underway in the Sanchez area of the production site. Parts for the 9th and topmost section are also arriving at Starbase. Meanwhile, the 4 tower sections dispatched from Kennedy Space Center on February 8 are slated to reach Starbase on the 18th. Additionally, 2 more sections are awaiting transportation to Starbase at SpaceX's Roberts Road facility within the Kennedy Space Center. At the Starbase production site, we have Starships 30 and 31 positioned inside the high bay. Ship 30 has already completed its cryogenic proof tests, whereas Ship 31 is awaiting cryo testing. Ship 32 is currently located at the Rocket Garden, while Ship 29 is undergoing engine installation inside Megabay 2 in preparation for static fire testing. Boosters 11, 12, and 13 are inside the Megabay. Both Boosters 11 and 12 have completed cryo-proof testing. Ring sections of Booster 14 have begun their journey into the Mega Bay for stacking. The oxygen tank will be stacked first, followed by the methane tank. Later, the 2 tank sections will be joined to complete Booster 14. As per the latest reports, SpaceX is undertaking a significant construction project at Starbase. The project, known as the SpaceX Starbase Office, involves the development of a $100 million office and industrial factory that will cover an area equivalent to approximately 15 football fields. The estimated timeline for the project is a start date of February 23 this year and a completion date of January 1 next year, which amounts to an 11-month duration. Elon Musk has affirmed that the SpaceX Starbase Office project is already well underway, confirming the accuracy of the reports. This venture follows SpaceX's previous announcement of a $15 million shopping center in Brownsville. Overall, SpaceX is planning to establish a significant presence in Brownsville, Texas. These projects signify the company's commitment to the region's growth and its ongoing advancements in space exploration and technology. Now, let's discuss some of the latest updates from the world of science and technology. The lunar lander is on its way to the moon to become the first ever private spacecraft to ace a lunar landing. Intuitive Machines' Nova Sea lunar lander was launched atop a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida on February 15. The rocket's upper stage deployed the spacecraft about 48 minutes later, after placing it on a trajectory towards the moon. The Intuitive Machines Nova C represents a class of lunar landers designed by the American company Intuitive Machines to transport small commercial payloads to the lunar surface as part of NASA's Commercial Lunar Payload Services program. Intuitive Machines named their inaugural lunar lander as Odysseus. This hexagonal cylindrical lander stands 3 meters tall and 2 meters wide, supported by 6 landing legs, with a launch mass of 1,900 kilograms. Odysseus is capable of carrying approximately 100 kilograms of payload to the lunar surface and relies on solar panels to generate 200 watts of power. The primary goal of Odysseus is to deliver a suite of scientific payloads to the lunar surface, test precision landing technologies, communication and navigation capabilities. Odysseus is carrying a diverse range of payloads on board, each designed to address key scientific questions and objectives. These payloads include instruments for measuring lunar soil composition, detecting water ice deposits, and investigating radio astronomy and space weather interactions. Please check out the link in the description for the complete list of scientific instruments carried by Odysseus. If all goes as planned, Odysseus will attempt a lunar landing on February 22 near Labpadre, an impact crater near the lunar south pole. The chosen landing site will provide researchers with valuable insights into the geological history and composition of the Moon, enhancing our understanding of its formation and evolution. The Nova C Odysseus mission is slated to span 1 lunar day, equivalent to approximately 14 Earth days, at which time the lander will conduct its scientific operations on the lunar surface. Odysseus isn't the first commercial Lunar Payload Services program spacecraft to launch toward the Moon. On January 8, the Peregrine lander from Astrobotic launched on the debut mission of United Launch Alliance's Vulcan Centaur rocket. The mission went well initially, but Peregrine suffered a fuel leak shortly after deploying from the rocket's upper stage. After quite a long voyage, the lunar lander ended up making a controlled re-entry in Earth's atmosphere on January 18. 2 more lunar landers are under development at Intuitive Machines, scheduled for launch in March and June of this year. SpaceX has announced its plan to remove around 100 of its Starlink satellites from orbit due to a design flaw. SpaceX said on February 12 that it would be performing controlled descents of roughly 100 early version 1 Starlink satellites due to concerns that the spacecraft would malfunction in orbit and become unmaneuverable. Although SpaceX did not provide specific details about the design flaw, it highlighted that the impacted satellites are currently operating efficiently and serving users without any issues. According to statistics compiled by Jonathan McDowell, out of the total 5,828 Starlink satellites launched to date, 5,438 are currently in orbit. Notably, the oldest still in orbit are from the first batch of version 1 satellites, which were launched in 2019 and 2020. Of those 420 satellites, 337 remain in orbit. SpaceX plans to execute controlled descents for the satellites being deorbited, gradually lowering their orbits over 6 months while maintaining maneuverability and collision avoidance capabilities. The company also stated that these satellites will be responsible for any high-risk conjunctions as part of space safety and sustainability best practices. SpaceX added in its statement that the loss of the older satellites will not affect Starlink broadband services. The company said that they can build up to 55 satellites per week and launch more than 200 satellites per month, which allows them to continually improve their system and make it more resilient. Thank you for tuning in for the latest science news and Starship updates. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and share it with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode.